Most Google Ad accounts are still running a setup that reminds me of the 2020s. We've done so many new things when it comes to demand gen, PMAX, standard shopping, but search still seems to be one of those things that hang on to over-segmentation, and it is hurting most accounts today when it comes to smart bidding, responsive search ads, and the way that Google actually works today. So today we're going to talk about the new search campaign structure that works today and this rulebook that we've created for how to make search work for you. First and foremost, I want to go into a core belief of mine, and that is no campaign structure is perfect for every case. Today we're talking specifically for e-commerce, but the same thing applies in a lot of different things because it falls back into the algorithms that we use with Google Ads. But if we just go through some of the campaign structures of the past. So SKAG, which is called single keyword ad groups, they get way too messy today. It's not necessary. They worked great back in the day because we could create a mobile bid adjustment per keyword per ad group. That's why we did single keyword ad groups. But today they're way too messy for ad testing, and campaign organization goes crazy when people take SKAGs literally, like most people do today. Then there's STAG, which is single theme ad groups, which is a horrible name, but it just results in an irrelevant keyword to ad relation in most cases. Now, lead gen might have a case here where you can have many more ads and just have a single theme, but in most cases, it leads to an irrelevant keyword to ad relation, which I'll go through in a second. Then there's SLAG, single landing page ad group, which is very similar to STAGs, but SLAGs are just, in my opinion, completely useless from an e-commerce standpoint. There are way too many keywords that can be in too many places, and if we have rules in place for a campaign structure or a framework that we follow, that where you're like, okay, keyword A can be in 3 different places in the account, then it's not an actual framework and it's way too much up to interpretation what works. Now, the last one is Hagakure, or however you want to say it. It's a stupid name that nobody understands, but the concept is fundamentally where we've ended up. That I don't like it. I just think it's a marketing ploy to call it Hagakure is just me. However, SKAGs doesn't work, SLAG doesn't work, STAG doesn't work. And let me just show you why SKAGs don't work today. Here's an example that I came across lately. We have, all this is in Danish, but you can notice the words very, very easily. So we have Christmas lunch externally, food for Christmas lunch menu, Christmas lunch, order Christmas lunch. It's all the same things. There are no, and if we're going to check the ads here, they will not be meaningfully different. So just having all this means that we have like 150 different ad groups where we have to go in and review the CPC, review the bids, because this case is a manual bid. And all of this just takes way too long because the same search term that's here can also apply to down here and down here and down here. Then we actually have no real control. What keyword is responsible for the search term entering the auction. And that's why SKAGs don't work today, because there's way too many entry points where the same keyword can go into the same auction because of the way that keyword variant matching works today. Most accounts are still structured like it's 2020, just like the account I just showed. And what's on the screen right now is the main point I want to try to get across today. It's very vague, and I'll get into the specifics in a second. Everything I see when I open accounts like the one I just showed you before, smart bidding can get into the same auction multiple places, so it gets confused. It's just when we used to manage bids manually. If we increase bids one place and decrease another, and then we increase another and decrease the third place, if this constantly happens, and then the same search term can get in twice, then it's confusing, and it's still confusing for smart bidding. And that's the problem we have today. We have to limit the amount of places that smart bidding can enter the auction. So when it actually comes to account structure, I have 5 rules for you. You need to keep it tight. You need to skip keyword variations. Phrase and exact match works just fine. You need to write meaningful headlines, and then you need to feed first-party data. 5 simple rules for making Hagakure, or whatever you want to call it, account structures work for you today. This is routinely what we implement in Savvy Revenue. We get better results with search than shopping because most agencies don't know how to do search today. Let's get into the first one. Keep it tight. The rule here is that you want to use as few keywords, as few ads, and as few ad groups as you can get away with. And the whole framework falls around 3 things. The search term needs to match the keyword, which needs to match the ad, which needs to match the landing page. As long as the relation between those four pieces go together, then that's the core structure that works today. Now, this is the same structure that's basically always worked, but it's even more important today. You have one primary goal, and it's to limit the number of entries into an auction that exists in your account structure. The secondary goal is to concentrate traffic into as few responsive search ads as possible. The reason for that is that the fewer responsive search ads you have, the more data gets concentrated on those responsive search ads, and seeing that Google is algorithmically trying to figure out which headline works best, then it needs as much data as possible. And the more ad groups you have, the worse it is. Now you can use campaign level responsive assets and headlines. Most people don't do that, so let's skip that conversation for another day. Now, when it comes to ad groups, you need to ask yourself, will I write a meaningfully different ad for the keyword? If yes, then create a new ad group. If no, then just add to the existing ad group. I have some examples here on the screen. The first ad group is Nike running shoes. We have 4 keywords. We have running shoes from Nike. We have men's Nike running shoes, women's Nike running shoes, and Nike Air Zoom running shoes. All 3 below will not go in the same ad group because they don't match the ad, they don't match the landing page perfectly. The next example is marathon running shoes. Here we have 5 other keywords: long distance, 26.2, endurance, race day, and marathon training shoes. All 5 keywords can go to the same landing page with marathon running shoes. Now, if there's some of these keywords that have an innate amount of search volume, then they can actually go into its own ad group, so you can feed it in, have like endurance running shoes or race day running shoes in your headline. That can be important, but in this case, I know there's not that many searches within this field, and just having it all into one ad group actually feeds the system better, and we can always use dynamic keyword insertion if we need to. The next example is trail running shoes, off-road running shoes, mountain trail running shoes, all-terrain running shoes, all fit together, and it will all goes to the same landing page, all goes to the same subcategory, category on the site. Now, the last example I have is lightweight running shoes. Here we have ultralight running shoes, featherweight running shoes, light running shoes, and minimalist running shoes. In this example, I'm saying that minimalist running shoes are not the same as lightweight running shoes. Technically, they are the same. However, knowing running shoes very well, then minimalist is a completely different category, and somebody Googling minimalist running shoes and they see the ad for lightweight running shoes, that's not the same thing. We're trying to look for 2 different things, and that's why that would get pushed out into its own ad group. My second rule was to skip keyword variations. The whole thing here is to lean into Google's keyword matching. We all like to hate on Google on keyword matching. How the heck could I show an ad for this? Instead, I want you to try to look at it another way. How can I take advantage of it? The idea is that you want to lower the amount of keywords necessary. So just like we have the example here where we have a vast amount of keywords, and this is what I mean when I say most search accounts are stuck in 2020. You will add all these keywords: beginner's base, base lessons for beginners, beginner base lessons, beginning base lessons, base beginners, base for beginners, beginning base lesson, and then you'll also add in an exact match. And if you're really crazy and you read some kind of LinkedIn post, then you're also going to add this in broad match. And you wonder why smart bidding has a tough time figuring out where to enter the auction and how much to bid for a different keyword. Now, the example I have on the screen here is bass for beginners and bass guitar for beginners. This is what we implemented for these guys, and it had a 3x better volume, a 3x lower cost per conversion. The third one is phrase and exact match works just fine. So many people will think you have to go into broad match or you should only do exact match. And I even have some of my good friends tell me, well, if you only use phrase match, it's crazy. And I don't get it. I don't see it. So exact match is great because it is literally what you see is what you get. Phrase match, it's extra cover. It creates much more of a variation and more variants that we can cover. And that's usually from an e-commerce perspective, a good thing. Then broad match is only something that we actually need to add towards the end if we see we need more scale, or we can, and we have the profit, we have the ROAS, we have all these things in it. So technically you could just be able to run phrase match because it covers all your bases. But I like both phrase match and exact match because it allows me to quickly see whether or not the majority of the traffic goes to my exact match keyword or it's a looser variation within the phrase match. The fourth rule I have is to write meaningful headlines for ads, or don't write any at all. So I preferably use a structure like I've put on the screen here, and we'll go into a little bit of detail, but it is where we try to say, okay, we have X amount of headlines that go to specific angles in the ads. Sometimes we use all 12, sometimes we only use 5. It really depends on the case and how much we have to say that's different. Sometimes it's really much just a price play, and then we focus there. We might even after a while know, okay, social proof doesn't work here, so we just take those headlines out completely. It's rare that we use all 12 all the time, I'll say that. But we try to, as much as possible, to do headline 1 is just keyword, and then maybe some kind of additional thing in there. Headline number 2 is we do the keyword, and then we do some kind of modifier. It can be most popular, it can be on sale, it can be 2025, whatever it is. And then in headline 3 and 4 is typically price or sales focused. We try to focus on the current offer, try to mention some kind of urgency. 5 and 6 is very much e-commerce trust factors. Fast shipping, free return. What's the stock status? Is there any guarantees or any unique member discounts? Is there anything specific here? Headline 7 and 8 is something like social proof to build trust. Again, it can be a number of reviews, popularity, awards, anything that you really have. 9 and 10, I like this type of headline a ton because it allows you to always write something new, and just being seasonal is something that really can work really well in your ads. Headline 11 and 12 is more benefit focused. What's the practical or emotional satisfaction that the user get from this? And 13, 14, 15, this is if it's like a high SKU count, we try to highlight something about the category. Like it needs to be clear, it needs to be specific, and avoid being super fluffy. So if it's a flat wallet, we try to focus on something like the wallet that fits in your pants, something like that. And the way that this looks towards the end is like, okay, number 1 and headline 1 and 2 is very dynamic. Number 3 and 4 is very, okay, 30-day easy returns. Members get 15% cash back. That's the fallback values. We have dynamic sale values in there. Number 5 is rated 4.8. Headline 6 and 7. Those are seasonal. Fall styles are here. Finish your fall look. 8 and 9, accessories that impress, accessories that set you apart. 10, 11, 12 are dynamic for the individual category. This works really, 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 really well. And it's something that, again, when it comes down to search, once you've selected the keyword, you have 2 things you can do. You can write a better ad, or you can bid differently to get better performance. Write better ads. The last thing is to feed first-party audience in. And we're going to keep this simple. It's just about website visitors, all converters, email subscribers, and email customers. If you send that into Google, they'll know what to do. And with the exception of very few cases, all other audiences are irrelevant for e-commerce. Again, it comes back to, unless you're going to do something different with them and write different ads for different audience, which most of you will not have the data volume in order to do that, then it doesn't work. Here towards the end, I just want to show you first the core setup, and then I want to show you a couple of accounts. But if we go into the core search structure setup that we have, then the core setup we have is categories, like category keywords, then we have category plus brand keywords, and then we have dynamic search ads. 80 to 90% of the volume that we have in most accounts when it comes to the first try with search is from these 3 campaigns. Then we have add-ons, and it really depends on the niche, on the area, but then we fall into generic keywords, category plus standard filter, like color, material, and category plus a niche filter, like we have a bike shop right now, the tire sizes is important, the number of gears on the on the different bikes are important. So that's what I call like niche filters. And towards the end, product keywords. But don't sleep on the generic keywords, especially if you're a massive brand. I spoke to an advertiser not that long ago. They were saying, yeah, we only do long tail. And I asked them, like, but in Scandinavia, are you the top choice within your niche? Yeah, I'm number 1. We're the number 1 thing. Then why are you not supposed to be able to just own the number 1 generic keyword in your niche? That's what the job is now to figure out. So now I just want to show you what it actually looks like in a couple of accounts. And again, the core here is to keep it simple. So if we go out and we just look at the overall campaign overview here, then we can see, okay, we have the different main categories we have in here. Apparel, we have bags, eyewear. Jewelry, we split up into 5 different campaigns just because they're like jewelry is 50% of the revenue in this business. So this allows us to just split them up a little bit further. Then we have a dynamic search ad as well. I can't really see that in here, but it is here. I just need to do like this. Then it will show the DSA as well. So we have this one as well. Now, If we go into one of these, so if we take bracelets for instance, then we can see, okay, we have the core keyword bracelets, we have core bracelet plus the filter, color and material. Inside of here, there are dynamic keyword insertion, and it also goes straight to this on the final keyword URL. Let me actually show you. And you can see here, we have it in phrase and exact all the way down, and on the URL, you can see we have the URL highlighted there. When it comes to the ads, it has a dynamic keyword insertion, so we don't have to have an ad group per keyword of all this. As you can see here, we can still get the keyword into the headline without having to do too many. You can see it's very, very simple. Some of these ad groups are simply just don't have enough volume for us to make it work. However, because we run feed-based, this is the way that we like to run it. Now, let me show you another account. So this is in German, and this is where you can see, okay, we have the brand terms here, the Tür, Arena, Speed, Aqualung, Swimfin, etc. Then we have what I call a miscellaneous. This is all the other brands on the site that aren't big enough to deserve their own ad group, and I don't want to make a mess. But again, you can see Beko Badekappen, it goes to swimming caps that goes for them, and it fits together, and it's the same thing. It applies all the way down. Every single time we look at this, just the search term, match the keyword, match the ad, match the landing page. As long as we can do that, we can fit the same keywords into multiple ad groups, and if not, then we create a new ad group for it. So that's it for me today. I hope you loved it on the search structure. If you have any questions or anything at all, just put them in the comments and I'll be right there. If you're into practical PPC insights that you can actually help you, then subscribe. I share tips, breakdowns, and call out what's working and what's not. No fluff, just the stuff that you can use every single week.